Yeah, I'm not too sure I agree with the Red Sox on this one. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. To be honest with you, I kind of thought the big shakeups left for these spring training roster cuts was gone and over with, right? You had Ceddanne Rafaela being added to the team, CJ Cron opting out, and it felt like that was sort of the time where the Red Sox made their big decisions, and what was going to be left before opening day were smaller things, like which one of these guys is going to get the last bullpen spot? Is there someone who's going to get injured or something like that? But apparently I was wrong, and the Red Sox did have one more surprising shake-up move up their sleeve. And again, like I said, I'm not entirely sure if I agree with the Red Sox rationale on this one. So what we are going to do in today's video is we're going to break this down. We're going to talk about who got cut, why they may have been cut, what does it mean, and how is it going to impact the 2024 Red Sox. But before we get into that, do me a favor. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. The move we're talking about today actually occurred late last night, basically in the middle of the night, and it was actually after the Red Sox finished up their game with the Texas Rangers over in Arlington, and this move is to option Brennan Bernardino. They officially announced that they are going to be optioning Bernardino to start the 2024 season. What this means for some of you who may not know is that Bernardino will not be starting the year with the 2024 Boston Red Sox. Instead, he'll be beginning his 2024 season down in Worcester. Now, there wasn't any subsequent move made in order to tell us who is going to be winning that spot if Brennan Bernardino wasn't able to do it. However, the general assumption is that it's going to be Greg Weissert. The reason for this is essentially he's just the last man standing. Everyone else appears to have, at least who we know is going to be on the team so far this year, has a spot on the club. Greg Weissert was basically the only one without it, so it's essentially just a process of elimination. And again, like I said a couple of times in the intro here, I'm not entirely sure I agree with this. On one hand, there is some legitimate reasoning as to why the Red Sox may have wanted to send Brennan Bernardino down. The first one is it probably was the most versatile move the Red Sox could have made. If they were only going to go with one lefty in the pen the entire time, Brennan does have that option remaining, whereas Joely had an opt-out. And by doing this, optioning Brennan Bernardino, you are able to keep both players within the Red Sox system, at least for now. The second reason here is historically, while Bernardino is much more effective against lefties than Joely, with an opponent OPS plus of just 41 to Joely's 89 OPS plus, Joely having about double the production against him against lefties, Joely is much more effective against right-handed hitters, with an opponent OPS of 108 compared to Brennan Bernardino's 139. With the Red Sox starting the season with Seattle, Oakland, and the Angels, most of their heavy hitters they are going to be facing are going to be coming from the right-hand side, and that could be another reason why they decided to make this move. On top of that, newcomer Isaiah Campbell, who appears to have made the opening day team, was absolutely disgusting against lefties last season, even being from the right-hand side. He had just a 33 OPS plus against lefties last year in 48 plate appearances. Now, again, a little bit of a smaller sample size than Brennan Bernardino, but Isaiah Campbell was more effective against left-handed hitters than left-handed pitcher Brennan Bernardino was. They could be looking at this saying, okay, I'm comfortable right now with how we are going to get lefties out to start the year. Let's really bolster our ability to get righties out with a right-handed heavy schedule to start the season. The third reason here is that Greg Weissert has just been flat out disgusting this spring training. In fact, he's one of the most heavy sliders in all of Major League Baseball when it comes to movement. This spring, he had one of the best stuff pluses in the sport when it came to his slider. And overall, he's been really effective on the mound. A 108 ERA plus in 8 1/3 innings this spring, with a 10.8 strikeouts per 9 over that time span as well. To me, if we're looking at Weissert separately from Bernardino, it's really hard to argue against Greg Weissert making this opening day roster, and that could have had a big reason as to why Brennan Bernardino was optioned. It's a really tough decision, but if they're sitting there looking at who Greg Weissert could be, which he's been compared to John Schreiber quite a bit this spring, spring training in terms of his delivery and in terms of the movement on his pitches. I'm talking about prime like 2022 John Schreiber here. It's a difficult decision to make, but maybe they decided that Greg Weiser just deserves the spot a little bit more. So when you're looking at all of these factors in total, yeah, there's some reasoning here as to why Brendan Bernardino did end up getting options. And I think for the Red Sox, when you're looking at it, it allows them to keep their left-handed depth pretty deep in their system. Lucas Lettige is also in AAA for the Red Sox as well. So now you've got two left-handed options for the Red Sox that are major league ready, and it gives Bernardino some time without any added pressure to really work on some things the Red Sox, I would assume, want him to work on, and that is getting right-handed hitters out, right? He was pretty ineffective last year as a whole of getting right-handed hitters out, and this gives him the opportunity to really hone in on his cutter that he brought into spring training and really sort of figure out a sequencing pattern and stuff like that to really sort of solidify his ability to get right-handed hitters out. So there is some reasoning here, but even with all of this reasoning, I'm still not 100% convinced that this was the right decision, and let me tell you why. When you sort of open this up a little bit and look outside of just spring training performances, I personally believe that what Brendan Bernardino was able to do last season granted him the opportunity to have this spot come opening day. Last year, he really sort of became the Red Sox go-to lefty, right? Richard Blyer did not work out at all. Joely Rodriguez was injured for most of the season. For the most part, when you needed a lefty in any situation, you were calling upon Brendan Bernardino, and most of the time, he was answering that call. Last year, he had a 3.20 ERA with a 3.41 FIP, meaning he was getting slightly lucky on the mound, but he was performing basically up to what his ERA was in 50 2/3 innings for a 1.43 ERA plus, about 43% more productive than the average pitcher in the game last season on the mound. He even started games for the Boston Red Sox when they were going through that stretch where they had to go with two openers basically every single week. What he did for the Red Sox last season, both as a lefty coming out of the bullpen and as a lefty starting games for the Red Sox, was really help this team stay afloat, and I thought that should have been rewarded with the opportunity to begin the year with a big league club. But even if you want to come back into spring training, it's not like Bernardino was struggling to figure out how to get back to that production again. In 6 2/3 innings, he did not allow a single earned run this spring and was allowing very little traffic on the base pass with a 0.750 whip. So you take a look at what he was able to do last year and combine it with what he was able to do this spring. In my opinion, statistically, he just flat out earned a spot for the Boston Red Sox. And then outside of statistics, you look at it and you say, hey, this guy kind of saved our butts quite a few times. I'm going to put my faith in him and have him start the year with the big league club. Plus, just in terms of storyline here, I know this really doesn't mean a whole lot when it comes to transactions on the Red Sox, but this dude was literally driving Lyft for a living just a couple of years ago just to get himself onto the mound and continue to play the game he loves. It would have been a really cool story to see him earn an opening day spot and have that conversation where, hey, you're going to be a big leaguer for an entire season for the first time in your life. While optioning Brendan Bernardino does give you more versatility in the system, right now you've got three options in terms of who could be your legitimate left-handed ace like Brendan Bernardino was last year with Joely, with Bernardino, and with Lucas Lettige in AAA. I still don't know if this is truly the best bullpen the Red Sox could put out there, because if you're looking at this just in a vacuum, who are you choosing? Are you choosing Joely or are you choosing Brendan Bernardino? Say you're drafting a team. Which one of these lefty relievers are you picking up first? In my opinion, every time I'm going with Brendan Bernardino, not only because of what he was able to do statistically last year, which again was essentially your bullpen left-handed ace. He was one of the biggest highlights of the Red Sox bullpen in 2023, but also because he's much less of a risk. Joely has so much injury history attached to him. Even in the 1 year he was with the Red Sox, he pitched more innings rehabbing injuries for the Worcester Red Sox than he did pitching legitimate game innings for the Boston Red Sox. Brendan Bernardino, for the most part, has been pretty healthy with the Boston Red Sox, and to me, that's also a big factor of this as well. What I don't really understand about this, and what I really can't wrap my head around, is that even if you wanted a contingency contingency plan for your left-handed spot, you still had Lucas Leticia in AAA, right? Say you went Brandon Bernardino and had Joely Rodriguez opt out, or you released him or whatever, you still had an option there with Lucas Leticia if things didn't go well, and you got a guy like Brandon Walter who is sort of that break glass in case of emergency guy. It's not like the Red Sox had no contingency plans and were absolutely forced to do this, and that's why I'm so confused by this move, because it feels like in a vacuum, Brandon Bernardino is the clear option. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that at some point this season, Brandon Bernardino will be up and he will have the opportunity to get back to what he was, which was pitching impactful, meaningful innings for the Boston Red Sox, whether that be because of injury with Joely Rodriguez's history, or it's something else like poor performance from some of these young players who, again, statistically, not all of them are going to work out, and Brandon Bernardino will be there once again to pick up the slack. So I don't have any doubt that at some point he's going to make an impact on this team. I'm just really surprised it isn't going to be starting on opening day. But that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think? Is this something you can wrap your head around and be like, yeah, this makes sense, Corbin, I don't even know why we're making a video about it? Or is this something where you're sitting there like me, like, well, I don't know if I entirely agree with this one? Let me know all your thoughts on the Red Sox optioning Brandon Bernardino in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Like I said, if you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Plus, you made it to the end here, you might as well hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Again, you made it to the end of the video, you clearly enjoyed it. Make sure you show that by hitting that like button. Helps these videos out a ton and would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.